Hey guys, I'm Matt Hernandez, and today we're going to talk about workflow. All right, welcome back everybody. So last week at my dynamic lighting workshop at my studio in Paducah, I had all of the students tell me that pretty much that they wanted to go over workflow and how I download files, how I edit them, how I save them, how I retouch them, and then how I export them to clients. So I thought this would be a great video to make so everybody can see. So let's just start from the beginning. Let's just pretend that we've just gotten back from a shoot, we've got the card, and we're gonna start just from scratch from the very beginning. All right, so the first thing that I do is turn my mouse around. Okay. And then, all right, so then I use several programs here. The first one is Photo Mechanic. So let's open that up. Now this is pretty much the standard for sports photographers, definitely, editorial photographers, anybody that covers events, like that works for like a newspaper or anything like that. This has been the standard for a long time. And it's good for, first of all, for downloading because it's extremely fast. I don't know what they have done with their software to make it so much faster than Lightroom and Capture One, but that's really the reason that I got it to begin with, was because just uploading the files from the card, they instantly pop up and then allow you to download them, versus both of those other programs, which I do my processing in, depending on what kind of shoot it is. The process takes much longer because they have to load, and I don't know why it's so much faster, but it is. So there's a lot of other things that it can do that I don't use it for, but mainly what I do is just looking at the card, naming the files, keywording them, and putting metadata with them, and then downloading them to my hard drive. So there's other photographers, it's like sports photographers that shoot a lot of games, that kind of thing. They'll get a little bit more in depth than I do, or quite a bit more in depth than I do. I'm just going to cover the basics and what I use it for. So, all right. So when you upload, or when you plug into your card to the memory card reader, I've got this as a shortcut under favorites here. Untitled is what my memory cards are called. I don't actually have my card plugged in. I actually downloaded some files onto the desktop, but that's what it's going to look like. So I've got these actually called workflow files on my desktop, but it's the same thing. The files would just be in here. So let's double click. Okay, so this is the card, and I've just got the first shoot that we used from my workshop, which was a session in the studio with a high school cheerleader named JC. She came in to model for us, and she did a headshot just in business attire, like a normal, adult would do for, if they're trying to update their headshot for their business or whatever. And then we did some tennis pictures also for the sports session. So we've got 63 files here, and you can see the name on them is the default name from the memory card. So what we're going to do to move them to our hard drive is press Command G, or you can go up to File, Ingest. Now I've said this before, I'm big on shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, because they save you a lot of time. It takes a little bit of time to learn them, but once you do, then it helps you move a lot faster. So I would press Command G for ingest. Okay, so then I'm going to go to folders and hit add. And then go to this folder, which would be on the card over here under locations. And I would go to the file, the folder with the files in them, but like I said, we've got to move to the desktop. So I'm going to hit open. And then the next thing I'm going to do is make sure apply metadata template to photos is checked. And then I'm going to click that button. And then I'm going to hit load. And so for every different type of session I do, whether it's a senior or a team, like team and individuals, if it's a commercial shoot, magazine, whatever, I'm going to save a metadata template. So I've got a folder here in my favorites, and I've got this one saved, and it's called MHC, which is Matthernandez Creative Summit, which is Summit Workshops is who I partner with for my workshops, _ dynamic lighting workshop, and then _PM _metadata.xmp. So that is the template that I've created. So when I hit open, this is what it's going to look like every time. So I've got the description, I've got the event name, I've got the city, which because it's going to be in Paducah, location, Matt Hernandez Creative, state, country, and then I've got the keywords checked, and I've got some basic keywords we can add to that. So like this one, I might put teen, cheerleader, tennis, athlete, headshot, studio. So you can add whatever you want. That helps you search for files once they're organized onto your hard drive. So it helps you find things faster. Under image rights, we've got me as the creator, the copyright, date, then my business name, URL for my website, and then that is it. That's all I've got. So there's other forms on here, other fields that you, not forms, other fields on here that you can fill out. Those are the basic ones that I use. So before I close it, actually, I'm gonna go back and name it with the date because I need to rename it. Okay, so 2024-6-8 Dynamic Lighting Workshop. No, let's do session 1. Okay, so I'm gonna press Command A, make sure there's only one space there. Command A to select all, Command C, and then name that the same as the event. Okay. And okay, now we can close it. And then if you click it again, it should have saved it right there. Okay. Okay, and we're gonna pick the primary destination. So I've got my hard drive plugged up. This is my photo hard drive. So I'm gonna make a new folder and we're gonna name it the same thing as we named the event, 2024-6-8 Dynamic Lighting, try to do it again, Dynamic Lighting Session 1. Okay, and then we're gonna make another folder inside that that says all. Hit create, hit open. So I'm gonna name it the date first, 2024, then the month, 06, then the day, 08, underscore, dynamic dash lighting, underscore workshop, underscore session 1, and then we'll do a dash because it's gonna have a number after that. All right, and then I've got sequence after that. So then it's gonna be 001 is gonna be the first file and it's gonna name them after that, okay? All right. Okay, and that's pretty much it. We've got the primary destination set. So I've also got Backblaze. I'll say that too. So it's good that you got to have backups. You don't have to have backups, but if you don't, it's going to bite you. You'll lose files at some point. If you do this long enough, you will have a hard drive fail. I've had it happen, unfortunately, but I do online backup, and it's just called Backblaze, backblaze.com. You can pay for however many hard drives you want it to back up, and it'll do it to the cloud over the internet. So the faster your internet, the faster it'll back them up. But that's the best way to do it, in my opinion, because it's cloud-based, it's fast, it's relatively inexpensive, and it has saved me several times. I've had hard drives fail, and you can download them off of their website, or you can have them send you a drive if you want to, if there's too many files. So, you know, whichever way you want to go with that. But it really can be a lifesaver. So I've got my main hard drives. I've got SanDisk's blades, and I've got 4 of them in a bay, and I've got my photo, my video, YouTube, and then another one that I'd use for various things. But all my photos go on the photo drive, and then that's one of the ones that's backed up to Backblaze. They're actually all backed up, as well as my hard drive. So you can pick, like I said, whichever drives you want, and that can be a real lifesaver. Okay, and that's up here at the top of my on my screen here, where you can go look at your files if you want to download just one, or if you download a whole session, or if you want to order the hard drive or whatever. Okay, all right, so then after you got all that done, then you just hit ingest. Okay, so you see how quickly it moved the files, which this was on the desktop, so it was a little bit faster than it would be if it was on a card, but it's still gonna be fast. Okay, so they're all renamed, and then now I'm gonna close this, I'm gonna make the side window smaller, and then I'm gonna make my files a little bit bigger. And then you just go through, the way that I do it is, I hit T for tag, and it's gonna check the bottom right corner if you want, so we're not gonna pick that one actually, but let's just pick a few of them here. Let's tag this one, that one. I'm just gonna tag some random ones here that we think we might wanna retouch. This one, and this one, okay. All right, so then, now that I've got the ones selected that I want, I'm gonna make them smaller. And then you can go up here and you can filter them by file name, color class, rating. So I just tag them to begin, and then go up to tagged on the right, and then it's gonna select only the ones that you just tagged, all right? And then let's go back to let's go over here in our sidebar, and then I've got, so MHC Photo 1 is my hard drive with my photos. Let's scroll to the bottom. And so there it is, Dynamic Lighting Session 1. So if we open it, then these are in all. So if you double click that, it's gonna that's the folder you're in. If we go back to all, then there's all the photos. So we're just going to do tagged, and then I'm going to click on the folder, the main folder, and I'm going to control click and do new folder inside this folder, and then I'm going to do pics. And then, why did it do that? Okay. Let's delete that, start over. Okay. I don't know why I did that. All right. Okay. All right. So if you open up Dynamic Lighting Session 1, the main folder, then we're inside all right now. Okay. So if I go back to all up here on the filter, that's the folder we're in. So filter the tagged ones. I'm going to click on the main folder. I'm going to control click, hit new folder inside this folder, and I'm going to name this 1_pics. Okay. So then I'm going to press Command A to pick all of them and then drag all of those into that folder. All right. So now if you double click on pics, those are the ones you just tagged. Okay. Now, you can color code these and you can rate them also in Capture or in Photo Mechanic. I normally don't do that. I wait till I get into my retouching, or not my retouching. I wait until I get into my toning software and cataloging system, which is it's either going to probably be Capture One or Lightroom. That's the two that most people use. So once you've got those picked, the next thing that I would do is select all of them and then I'm going to drag them down into Capture One and open them up to edit. Okay, so once they pop up, you're going to press Command A to select all of them, and I'm going to press Spacebar, make sure that that yellow check mark is selected right there, and then I'm going to hit Import Images. Okay, now we've got them in Capture One. So the cataloging system, and those of you who are Lightroom users, this is going to be very similar. The folders are called different things, like collections versus projects, but they're the same thing. Okay, so if you go over here in Capture One to the left, the way I've set it up is the library. I've got it on the left. You go to user collections, and then you've also got, so folders down here at the bottom. Let's close user selections for a minute. Folders is going to be all of your hard drives, okay? And then collections is how you organize things inside of Capture One. So folders is actually the file structure that everything is in. So if you move something in folders, it is going to move it on your hard drive. So keep that in mind. When you create a collection, when you make collections and folders inside of user collections, then like projects, groups, that kind of thing, that's how you organize everything inside of Capture One only, or in Lightroom it would be collections, collection sets, that kind of thing. Same thing, just like I said, name different. That's how you organize the photos that are imported in. The folders is going to be, like I said, the file structure. So if you want to, you need to be careful on which one that you're in. So collections is going to be just native to this program only. It's not actually physically moving them anywhere. Keep that in mind. It's just so you know where everything's at. But if you want to use folders, you can. I think that collections has a lot of benefits, so I do that. But you got to know which one you're using and not get confused so that you don't move the files around on the hard drive on accident. Okay, so this would be under education. So I have everything labeled over here. You can see YouTube, background. I've got families and kids, personal, sports, seniors, events. Everything that I would shoot over here on the left has a group, okay? So normally I would put this in education because it was a workshop, but for this purpose, we're gonna put it in the YouTube folder because this is for a YouTube video. So we're gonna open YouTube, that's a group. Inside that group is 2024, okay? And actually, let me back up and press Command Z here so I still have my files. Okay, so once you click on a group or a collection, then it's going to change what you're seeing. I didn't mean to do that. I wanted to keep my import up. And so if you do that, if you click off of the files on accident before you actually move them into a project or a group or an album, then you need to go back to your hard drive under folders. So if they disappear, just open up folders. And then this is going to be under in my photo hard drive, and then it's this group right here, Dynamic Lighting Session 1. That's the last one. And you name everything the same because of this, because it's going to put them in order of the date. So it's going to be at the bottom, right? So if you lose where you put them, then just go down here, click on it right there. Okay. Okay. So let's go back up here to the group under YouTube 2024, and then I'm going to click Control click, or you can also click the plus here. And then I'm going to hit project. All right, and then I'm going to name it 2024, the same thing as the file is named, -6-8 dynamic lighting. And I'm going to name the whole thing that, not just session 1, because we're going to put the sessions inside this project. Okay. All right, and put that at the very bottom. All right, so if I wanted it to go in 2024 to begin with, I would have control clicked and then new inside and then new project, okay? But I didn't do that, I just hit the plus. So you can do it either way, but afterward, if you do it that way, then you have to drag the project into 2024. Okay, so now we've got it there. So you can't actually put anything in the project. You have to put it in an album. So let's hit Control click and then new and inside and then new album, and we're gonna do, actually before we do that, let's hit cancel. Let's press Command A to select all the photos. And let's make a group because this is gonna be session 1. There's gonna be several sessions for the workshop. So we've got the project, which is named the workshop. That's the overall shoot, or the overall event, I guess, if it's more than one day. And then inside that, we're gonna put each shoot as a group, and then inside the groups, we're gonna put an album. All right, so that would be, in Lightroom, it would be a collection set instead of a project, and then you're gonna put the collections inside of that, all right? So let's name this session 1, JC Studio, or whatever you wanna name it. Just try to keep it short and try to name them consistently. Hit OK. So it's a group. So it's the first shoot. And then we've still got the photo selected. So Control click again. And then new album. And then I'm just going to press Command A to select all those words. And then we'll do pics. And then I'm going to select collection after creation and add selected images after creation. So it's going to put, the reason I selected those, it's going to put them all in there. All right, now all of my photos are inside that album, which is in the group, named the shoot, and the shoot is inside the workshop folder, okay? So that could be less, that could just be one shoot, which will be a project, like this one above it. So I've got pickleball action, the date, and then the name, and then inside that I have albums. So I have one more step in this because it was a workshop that had different days, several different days, okay? Okay, so I actually applied a preset during import here. So if you press Y, there's the raw file, and there's after. So we don't actually have to do anything to it. So I would tone this, color correct it, do whatever I need to do, and then that would be what I would do in Capture One. All right, so get everything the way that you want it at a camera. And so the next step, let's just say that these are the ones that the client has ordered. They want them to be retouched, or if I'm going to retouch them for social media or whatever. So that would be the next step, would be the retouching process after we edit the pics. So the way that we're going to do that is the way that I retouch is in Evoto, and then Photoshop would be the final touches. So that's the different stages. So you use Photo Mechanic to download everything and keyword them and name the files. Then you go in there and pick the ones that you want. You color your shoot, and then import the pics into Capture One or Lightroom, and then I tone, color correct in there, and organize everything. So if I could make a social media album inside here, you can make whatever albums you want to inside those folders that you made to organize them inside the software. And then once that's done, then you can retouch for whatever purpose for the client or for yourself, for social media, like I said, for your website, whatever you need to do. So the next step would be Evoto. After Capture One or Lightroom, and then if I needed to do something in Photoshop, then Photoshop would be the final stage. It could just be Capture One if you don't need to do any retouching. It could just be Evoto once you get done with the retouching, and then you may not even need Photoshop after that. So it just kind of depends on how many steps you want to take and what your workflow is going to be. But like I said, this is mine, and this is consistently what it's going to be for every shoot. Now I might not need every step, but if I did, this is every step that I would go through. Okay, so next, you have to export for Evoto, and then you have to pull them in to that software to retouch, and then export them one more time. Okay, so let's say we want to retouch this picture. So you're going to hit export, and then I've got presets up here, or recipes. All right. So I've got JPEG full size, high quality. If I was going to use Evoto, then if I was going to deliver to a client, I would do a JPEG like this, high-res JPEG. But if I was going to do retouching in Evoto, then I would make it a TIFF file instead, okay? And then if I want to, I can save a recipe up here. So let's actually do that. So I've got it at 300 resolution, TIFF, and just so it has more information, and then it's going to be 16-bit. And so let's go up here and actually save that. New recipe, TIFF for Evoto. Okay. All right, so I'm going to check that. Okay, now you've got to pick your location. So let's pick that. So I'm going to hit choose folder, and then we're going to go to our hard drive where the files are housed. Go to our folder here, and then I'm going to make a new folder. So I press Shift Command N on a Mac. I'm gonna hit 2, and I'm putting the number before the folder just so that it stays in order. 2, and we're gonna name this Retouches. Okay. Choose folder, and then got the location. There's no subfolder. All this looks good, so I'm gonna hit export. All right, so then let's go over to Evoto. So you're gonna create a project, and then we're gonna call this YouTube Workflow. Name it whatever you want. I would probably do dynamic lighting if I was gonna name it the actual workshop. I'm gonna hit the plus, and then we're gonna go to where we just exported that file. Hit open. So I would pull them all in at once, and then let's just set a preset here just to save time. And then make sure that we're good here. Okay, so there's, if you press spacebar, there's before, and there's after. Okay, so I would go through my workflow in Evoto, retouch it the way I want it to. I'm not gonna go through that right now. I have another video on Evoto and how I retouch. If you wanna check that out, we'll make sure and link that above and then also in the description below. So once you get that done, then you're gonna export that again, all right? So I'm gonna hit export. This little dialog is gonna pop up, and then you're gonna pick export to, and then folder of original photo, okay? Or you can hit designate folder, all right? If you wanna do that, then make another folder, and I'm gonna name it 3 Evoto. And name format, original file name, file settings. So we're gonna change the file format to TIFF 16-bit if it's not already that. And the reason you do TIFF, like I said, is because you want more information. JPEGs are compressed, okay? And then make sure, I'm gonna check convert to sRGB because if this gets printed, then we wanna make sure it has the right color space. And then hit export. If you go here to this little folder beside export, it's gonna tell you when this is done. Okay, all right, so it's finished. So let's minimize Evoto, and then now I'm gonna go back to Capture One. If I need to retouch it in Photoshop, then that's gonna be the next step, all right? We're gonna import it back into Capture One at the end, but not yet. So let's just make sure we've got it how we want it. All right, so actually don't put that in there. All right, so now I've got Photoshop open. I'm gonna press Command O to open this file. Go to my recents here. So go to the one we just exported, hit open. Okay, so I'm just gonna do like one quick little pass over here. I'm gonna get a couple flyaways and then just so it's a little bit different. Okay, so I just made a couple changes there. All right, so I'm gonna press Command S to save it. All right, so make sure that you've got it the way you want it before you save it, because it's saving over the picture that you just exported from Evoto, which we should be pretty good. I usually might go over a couple things. I don't like the healing brush in Evoto, so if I need to like fix any blemishes or anything, small ones, then I'll bring it into Photoshop and do that after I've exported it from Evoto, or you can do it beforehand if you want to. All right, so I'll press Command S and then Command W to close it. Now, okay, so we've retouched Evoto and exported a new TIFF, so now we need to re-import it into Capture One, and the reason I'm gonna do this is because I want everything housed in the same place. I want all my raw files, all my retouched TIFFs, or whatever kind of file you wanna use, Photoshop files, you could use JPEGs, whatever. Those are gonna be compressed, just so you know that. So TIFFs and Photoshop files will have more information, but I want everything together, basically is the point, all right? So now, let's import that last file that we had. So I'm gonna pick where I'm gonna import it from. Select the file, hit review for import, make sure that's checked, and then hit import image one. Okay, so now it's imported, all right, and then applied my preset, so that's why it looks like that. Let's hit reset. Okay, so I'm gonna drag that into the pics folder. So now we've got the raw file and we've got the retouched file beside it, right there, okay? So basically we took that raw file, we exported it as a TIFF, imported it into Evoto, retouched it, exported it into another folder called inside the original folder of the shoot, and then I opened it in Photoshop, did the final finishing touches, and then brought it back in. So now we've got all of our files together here, and if you wanted to create a new group here, or a new album, you can control click and go to new inside, new album, and then you can put final images. Hit OK, and then I'm gonna select the tip that's retouched, pull that back in there. And actually, so one step that I didn't mention earlier, so I don't always retouch everything. And I should have said this earlier, so I apologize. I'm a little bit out of order here. But whenever I'm going through my picks in Capture One, after I import them and tone them, if anything does need to be retouched, so there's a good way to separate all of your files inside of Capture One. There's a little square on the bottom left, and that's a color. So I always mark the ones red that I want to retouch, okay? So we're in our picks folder just like we were a minute ago. Let's just do both of these, all right? So let's make both those red, okay? So if you press G for group, then there's all your images inside that album. And if you want to sort them, if you've got them color-coded, and you can also star them. But if you want to do that, then you can go up here to Filters on the left, and then go to Color Tag, and then hit only select the red ones, right? So inside that album, we've only got the ones right here that we want to retouch, okay? So then you can filter it that way and export them all at the same time. And then once they come back in from Evoto and Photoshop, so here's my TIFF that I've actually retouched. So I'm going to color code that blue, right? And I've got that in the main folder with the other ones. So if I unfilter it, you can see we've got the blue one that's retouched, we've got the red ones that are going to be retouched, and then we've got the ones that don't need anything, right? And then after they're retouched, then I usually switch that to yellow. And you can pick whichever colors you want. You can use a star system. This is just how I do it. Okay, so if you want to filter it to just the retouched images, oops. If you want to filter this to just the retouched images, then you would go to blue instead of red, and then all of the blue ones are visible, okay? Okay, so now I'm in the export dialog box. I've got a recipe that's called JPEG 2000 pixels for web use. If you go down here under the location, we've got a social media folder on the desktop and then 2 posts. That's where we're gonna put it. And the name is Dynamic Lighting 1_social. And then it's a JPEG, 8-bit, 100% quality or 100 quality, 72 DPI, and on the long edge is 2000 pixels. And then I saved that, like I said, as a recipe. So now we're gonna hit export one image and then go to our folder, and then there it is, ready to post, and that's it. We store our files on Dropbox, so we have everything sorted into seniors, sports, and then we have those organized by the date. So if I was done with these, then I would put those on Dropbox, and you can make a folder with the shoot name and then put the whole shoot, and then you can put or you can separate those in a 2 retouch folder and then a retouch folder, and then, you know, so on and so forth on Dropbox, which is separate from the hard drive. Dropbox is in the cloud, obviously. So, but this is how I organize everything on the hard drive, all right? Okay, so that's pretty much everything that I do from start to finish, from downloading the card, storing the files, toning and cataloging, and then retouching. So I hope that's helpful. Hopefully that wasn't too confusing. I explained everything in a way that everybody can understand. So I think it's a pretty straightforward process from start to finish. You just got to make sure the main thing is you stay consistent with it. You want to name things consistently, and as long as you do that, then it shouldn't be too confusing. Because the thing is, you want to make sure that if you need to go back and look at files that are a year or 2 old, that it's easy to find them, and that hopefully this process will help everybody get to that point. Because I've made the mistake when I first started doing this, I was really bad about organization. And don't put it off. This is important, because if you'll be a year down the road and need to go back and find something, you won't be able to, and you'll wish you had done it. So it's easier just to do it from the very beginning. So, all right, well, I hope that was helpful. Hope everybody enjoyed it. If you did, appreciate the like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you get notified when we post new content. There's going to be a lot more to come. We'll see you next time.